And here we are, spawning in the upper left. In the blue, of course, representing the Afrika Freaks in this game number 1. Give it up for Stats. And his opponent in the bottom right. In the red, the newly teamified Terran player for the Shopify Rebels. He is ByeON. Yeah, Stats absolutely, but wow, ByeON. Bunny does have some pretty cheeky cheese, but you gotta remember, of course, Stats is the Shield of Ire, so him losing to any cheese whatsoever, no less much less 2 or 3 of them, well, that's a little bit weird. That's a little bit out of the ordinary here, but of course, Stats, that's a sneaky little probe out on the map early on. Now, I don't believe this is for anything cheeky, this is not for anything cheesy, this is just making sure that he does not die to the same type of things that Bunny was able to make use of in the GSL. So this is going to be a scouting probe. It's going to look around, and it will even get the timing to harass off that SCV. So yeah, is he able to delay the barracks at all? Not really. So that's going to be a Marine out, which means this probe is not going to get a whole lot done either. But ByeON has opted for this Marine opener. This is something that he likes to do, something that he has been doing a good bit over the last month, several months here. And there are a couple different openers. Now, of course, it's going to be just a quick factory here. This doesn't tell us a whole lot yet either, because of course you can go into 4 Hellions, go into a Hellion drop if you want, or this can just be for like the single Hellion, scouting Hellion. A little bit of interest shenanigans that ByeON can go for, because apparently this entire tournament is about shenanigans. But anyways, yeah, of course with the Marine first into Reactor, that does mean it is a slightly faster factory. In any case. And now, again, we're going to have to see exactly what ByeON opts to go for here. Now, Stats opening with a Twilight. Stats and ByeON, of course, have a fantastic history. They played a lot of games against each other. And okay, it's going to be a Widowmine drop. I guess that's going to be the name of the game here for our red Terran player. But anyway, Stats and ByeON have a good amount of history together. I cast actually best of 9 between Stats and ByeON 2 months ago, I think, at this point. And it's kind of funny. So Stats goes and he opens up with a Twilight. In 4 straight games, he wins those 4 games. ByeON tries to get aggressive, and Stats slaps him aside. Then Stats says, "You know what? I got 4 games. Maybe ByeON's going to be even more aggressive here. I'm going to open with a Phoenix build. I'm going to open with Stargate, which Stats thought was going to be a really good way to deal with the aggression of ByeON. And then Stats loses 4 games in a row with that, and eventually he goes for the Twilight opener in game number 5. He wins. It's totally fine." Why, hello, Zeiss. Oh, also for those of you that are just tuning in, and you may notice that Stream Raiders is enabled. It is engaged. You can see it in the upper right. That is a 20-minute countdown until the first Stream Raiders battle of the evening. So what that means, of course, make sure to go use the code Raider, or use the code Battle, excuse me, to go on in, add your units to the battlefield, do all that. Of course, it's not mandatory, but it's always fun. Now, of course, we do have the not the Stream Raider. We have the Medevac coming on up on into the main base here, eventually from ByeON, and we're going to have to see exactly what his attack vector is. Now, of course, we don't have an Observer yet. Granted, we don't really need one. This is not an armory play, so now ByeON's going to boost on into the natural here. There are a bunch of Stalkers here. That is not going to get anything done whatsoever. I wouldn't mind seeing one Widowmine go on around one of the mineral clumps in the 3rd base. That can be rather useful. Of course, there's the old idea that you just burrow a couple of banelings on where the right in one of those clumps, so you can see on the right hand side there's a little bit of a pocket that you can burrow some banelings and burrow Widowmine in, and then of course when all of the SCVs, the probes, whatever, go on, they get main-arted over. Well, it's going to be maybe you get a lot of them, but no, ByeON's just going to drop on into the main base here. He's going to get 2 probes for his troubles and a probe pool, which is just about what you expect. Nothing weird right there. So how many gates do we have? This is 2-gate blink aggression. Unlike what we saw from ByeON last night, where ByeON was going 4-gate blink defense, which is a little bit weird. Oh, look at this. No, Stats is going to be able to get Stim. That's going to be fantastic. Stim is going to be denied at the start here. And yes, there's a tank, but no, Stats is just going to blink on top of that. Says, the hell with that. Actually, I think this may just be Stats winning, oddly enough here. Now, the tank is going to go on up, and it's going to get targeted on down here. It's just going to be a little bit of bio left. Stats benefiting from the double blink properties of a War Prism and blink stalkers here. So, you know what? Okay, maybe this is not game quite yet, but Stats is going to get some tremendous damage here. We're going to have to probably see another warp in, but man, imagine if this was 4 gate. Stats would be ending the game right now. Now, this Raven is doing some nice damage, and it looks like the Widowmine got some good damage as well. So 6 total probes did die. Actually, and with BeoMulf only losing 3 SCVs, this is actually fairly good here for BeoMulf, even if he does have stim delayed in the extreme. So he's not really going to be able to get aggressive in the short term, even really in the middle term here. But, you know, he did take more damage than he gave at this point in the game, at least from an economic perspective. So we're going to have to see, well, we're just going to have to see him, of course, spend those chronos, 3 probes at a time. He's going to be able to get back up to where he wants to be pretty quickly. So, yeah, if we look at economy here, BeoMulf takes a minor advantage, but it's already back to even. Of course, BeoMulf going for that 7 minutes, 7:30, +1 stim combat shield timing that has been so popular with Terrans over the last months, last almost a year, I think, at this point. It's a pretty powerful build. It's not something you see always, of course. BeoMulf did have that opportunity to maybe go for a really quick 3rd command center off of that Marine first. That's something he also likes to do, but that's not what we see here. So there we have Storm on the way. We're going to see Charge Lot Archon is going to be the tech path that Stats is going to go for in this game, and I do like this. This is the proper response to this 2-base timing that BeoMulf has been going for. Now, the only question is whether Stats will be able to delay this push long enough to allow for Storm, to allow for Charge, to allow for +1 to complete. Now, of course, Stats being rather annoying at this point, knocking off a couple SCVs here and there. But again, the whole goal, he needs to delay BeoMulf from coming on in. Now, BeoMulf has, I believe, yes, he has salvaged the barracks. And actually, BeoMulf getting even more aggressive here. Notice this is 5 barracks with that 3rd command center. So it's a 633rd, but it's 5 barracks on in now. Good news for BeoMulf, or excuse me, good news for Stats. BeoMulf will wait until at least now to make this push happening. So Storm will be done by the time that happens. As now we just have a bunch of Stalkers that are very low on HP, by the way. All getting a little bit more damage. 2 more workers go down. Damage and drips and drabs is going to be rather nice here for our blue Protoss player. But again, Charge is going to be done. +1 is going to be done. This push from BeoMulf, this push that BeoMulf is looking to do, I don't like it as much anymore. I think you do have to hit before all the gateways are done, before Charge is done. And notice, Stats has 10 gates. He has his 4th base on the way. +1 is going to be done, right? This is going to be a rather difficult push for BeoMulf to make happen, should he opt to make that happen. Now, of course, he's not really moving out yet. So that's a bit surprising. You would expect with a 633rd base, with that quick 3rd barracks, you would kind of expect to see that happen. But no, that's not what BeoMulf is going for yet, at the very least. And actually, Stats is going to get a little bit aggressive here. And you know what? I do like this idea from BeoMulf. He's kind of realized the fact that, well, you know, his opponent is going for a rather aggressive build. So what does BeoMulf do? Well, he's going to sit back. He's going to turtle. He's going to try to get some damage done with the Raven, of course, but Stalker will not be able to knock that Raven down. So we do have, of course, a couple more Warpins are going to get spent. Okay, actually, Stalkers will get that Raven. That's going to be rather nice. The Raven gets 2 Stalkers first trouble, but that's going to be just about it. And it's okay. It's going to get a couple more, couple probes. But anyway, now we do have Stats warping in more and more and more and more, but this is 5 barracks BeoMulf, right? He does have a lot of production here. We don't really see Stats make equaling that army count at this point. So now we're going to have the army of Stats. It's going to move across the map here. And this is the perfect timing for BeoMulf to go on to get maybe a little bit aggressive with some drops. But no, Stats, I think he kind of realizes what BeoMulf is doing. So this is really a game of chicken more than anything else, right? We have BeoMulf going for the aggressive build and then kind of realizing that, wait a minute, that going aggressive just plays into what Stats is doing, so I'm going to stay defensive. And now Stats realizing that maybe I don't want to get all that aggressive here because BeoMulf is playing defensively and I'm never going to break him. So what am I? Well, okay, this drop is never going to work. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to transition on into my tech a little bit further. Double Disruptor play is going to be the name of the game here. And yeah, now Stats, yeah, he's just going to posture. I don't think he's going to get actually all that aggressive. Now, I would like to see BeoMulf take that 4th base rather soon. The command center, of course, is on the way. We don't have a 4th base yet. And, you know, BeoMulf, as a result of this turtling, he's at 40 army supply. Now, I don't know if that's going to be enough for him to really get what he wants to get done here, because, of course, 2-2, it's rather late. Stats will have that 2-1 upgrade lead rather soon. Why, welcome, Uzi Cody. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. And now, well, welcome to the Pink Drip Pylon Seeding Tournament. Now, Stats are going to blink on forward here. He's going to do what he can to knock down as many ghosts as possible, but those EMPs are going to be rather nice. And yeah, this is just a big army of BYUN here. That Storm's not even going to be all that impactful. I mean, yeah, it's going to do some damage, but of course, this is not going to be a committed fight. So BYUN, he's not going to lose anything because of that Storm. We're just going to have everything. It's going to get healed back on up again. Now, how many Vikings does BYUN have? He has 4. I believe that's what he's staying at. So, 4 Vikings here, the goal. Now, of course, maybe BYUN might be thinking that it's eventually going to be Colossus Tech, but as of right now, with these 4 Vikings, the goal is to, of course, target down to zone out the Warp Prism. And if you're able to zone out the Warp Prism, that means the High Templar that are going to cause so many issues for you, theoretically, well, they're not going to cause that many issues anymore. On top of that, it provides a little bit of vision if BYUN is not dropping scans, of course. So now we do have that Warp Prism. It's going to go on into the main base, and it's going to be, yeah, it's just going to be a bunch of Zealots that are going to get dropped on in, warped on in here, and BYUN should be able to deal with this, but if not, before 7-8 workers do go down. So at the end of the day, well, Stats is getting some amount of damage done. Meanwhile, of course, we got a fight kicking off in the main base here, or excuse me, in the middle of the map, as now a bunch of a bunch of Disruptor shots are going to go off, just knock down some of the Widow Mines, but that's going to be just about it. Now this Warp Prism will go down, as will the Dark Templar. So now BYUN, he's got an inside track on into the natural here. Though we do have the Disruptor shot going on off BYUN. He's going to target that down immediately. Nice splits on the second, though. So not a whole lot of damage here whatsoever. Now we do have a bunch of High Templar coming on in from the low ground. EMP will make it so there's only 1 storm on out here, but there are more storms where that came from, of course. How many High Templars do we have on the map? We still have 4. That's at least 4 storms, closer to 8. But BYUN now does have his 4th base done. He is refilling the economy that he lost to some extent. But yeah, this is one of those. This is the game, right? You see, you get a 4th base, you drop a planetary. Protoss player immediately blinks some DTs on it, kills off a bunch of workers, and now Stats is looking in a pretty damn good spot at this point. It's Blink Stalker Disruptor, and sure, is it the most powerful straight up force? No. But at the end of the day, Disruptor shots can be absolutely massive here, and these DTs are just doing so much. They're going to kill off this 4th base that's getting refilled here. Now Disruptors are finding their way on in. Of course, there's a tank, but who really cares? Disruptor shots are going to go off here. BYUN, he's going to look for the targets down here, and he will not be all that successful. So now we have Zealoth. They're going to run on in. This is a 2 upgrade lead, or excuse me, it's a 1. No, it's not actually. BYUN has an upgrade lead here, but it's just maybe not quite enough here. DTs are absolutely ravaging the entire economy of BYUN, and sure, Stats is going to be rebuffed just a little bit, but 37 SDVs have gone down. BYUN at 31, he does not have a 4th base. He just has 3 orbitals, and I think this is going to be the winning blow here from Stats. Yeah, he's going to have to go back. Yeah, he's going to probably have to rebuild his Disruptor count or something like that, as he already has a couple more, so not even a big deal there. But at the end of the day, I mean, what can BYUN do? His army is not as good. I know he does have upgrade parity. Well, he had upgrade parity. Now he doesn't. His army is not quite as good. It's not quite as tech heavy. And there we go. GG. BYUN will scout that 5th base, spawning in the bottom right. In the blue, of course, representing the Afrika Freaks, up 1-0 in this best of 5. He's the one, the only Stats. And his opponent in the upper left in the red, of course, representing the Shopify Rebellion. Down, but certainly not out. In the red, he is BYUN. And I need to get a smaller version of that logo, as it very much is making our player intros look a little bit weird. Shield of Fire, baby, indeed. Although realistically, that was a bit of an interesting game because Stats countered the aggressive build of BYUN, so BYUN just said, I'm going to turtle up, I'm going to be defensive. So Stats, realizing that BYUN's going to be defensive, Stats doesn't get aggressive with the defensive build, and instead techs up into Blink Stalker Disruptor Storm, DTs, all that fun stuff. It was very much a game of rock, paper, scissors, lizard. Multiple rock, paper, scissors games happened on in that game number 1 here, as both players tried to get the mind game, tried to get the 1 step ahead of their opponent. Now we see Stats here is going to try to delay this command center as much as he can, basically, if he gets the good delay. on this. If he gets it far enough, he will be able to, in fact, get the Adept out on the other side of the map before the Command Center is anywhere close to being completed. And then that becomes a little bit problematic. Now, of course, BeoMulf going for the Marine into Reaper once again, so he should have 3-5 Marines to defend the Adept when it shows on up, so not that big of a deal. But again, it can be annoying. And of course, we do not see stats going here for the BeoMulf build. It's only 1 gate, not 2, not 3. So stats just going on into your standard mid-game, in game number 2. Now, of course, this is expected stats. He's the Shield of Ire. He's not someone you look at and you say, ah, that is a player that is going to cheese the hell out of me. Although, I mean, he certainly has the capabilities, but no. So we have the Adept before shading across the map. Now the Command Center will be done by the time this Adept finds its way onto the map here. And of course with the 5 Marines that BeoMulf has, well, okay, it's not going to get a whole lot done. No big deal. It's just a scouting SCV at this point. Or I guess a scouting Adept is the way I should be talking about that. But anyways, we do have our second gate on the way here. So it's going to be 2-gate blink. Once again, stats hoping to get some semblance of the amount of damage he got in game number 1 with that stim deny. And actually, that's one of the reasons why BeoMulf just kind of turtled it at home. When you don't have stim on the timing, well, it's not all that great. So now, of course, third base on the way here for stats. This is, again, it's a defensive blink. Yeah, he might try to get aggressive with it, but, you know, this is not going to be the 3-4 gateways where he's going to try to kill his opponent. No, it's going to be a quick third base as he just uses blink to aggressively defend what is happening there. But of course, BeoMulf, he's going for that build I alluded to in game number 1. +1 stim combat shields really quickly off of 3 barracks, off of that Marine first. So he will be able to deny, at the very least, he will get that Observer. And we got a bunch of Stalkers here that are going to try to just flank this army, knock off as much of it as possible before BeoMulf really gets there. So stim is done. Combat shields are done. Now, +1 is not done yet. BeoMulf's just going to stim on into the natural. Says, hey, look, you're out of position. I'm going to try to get as much damage done as possible. 1 Stalker will go down as well. And we're probably going to see a second stim on in here. And now, yeah, Stalkers are going to warp on in here. But really the whole goal of this, again, is just to kill a bunch of workers. That's about it. And BeoMulf will be wildly successful in that. 16 workers do go down. Now, BeoMulf, he's got a 10-worker lead. The question, though, is whether he can deal with the follow-up, right? He does have 3 barracks production, so he has a decent amount of army at home. But his 20 army supply at 20, theoretically, just maybe stats will have enough here to make something happen, especially now that BeoMulf is out on the map. But, of course, where is our War Prism? It's not there, right? So BeoMulf, or I should say Stats, not really going to be as aggressive as he would like. And now Stats will find some of this, some of the Marine Ball on the left-hand side here. Is it's just going to stim on in to the third base. What's going to attempt to at the very least. We will see a much quicker probe pool this time. So yeah, this Bio Ball is not going to get a lot done. This is going to be a much better trade here for the Shield of Ire compared to what happened earlier. But, of course, the damage is already done. Yes, Stats is able to refill his worker line pretty quickly. He's now back up to 47. 3 probes at a time versus your opponent who's not building probes. Well, or not building SCVs, I should say. Well, yeah, you're going to be able to equalize that that income disadvantage rather quickly. But, again, that is, what, 500 minerals of probes that are not other things. They're not gateways. They're not Colossus. They're not a second Robo. They're not +1. They're not all of these things that BeoMulf would love to, or excuse me, that Stats would love to have in a game like this. And now we're going to have to see whether Stats is going to be able to hold the follow-up, because BeoMulf, you bet your knickers, I guess, that BeoMulf is going to get aggressive here in this game. He has all the build up for it. He will have +1. He actually does have +1 now. He's going to have concussive shells. And he absolutely has an opportunity to be aggressive here to punish the damage that he achieved earlier on. Because yes, Stats is now, he's got that Stats had a 10 worker deficit. Now he's got a 10 worker lead. Can't explain that. But anyway, we do have this bio ball. It's going to come its way on out on the map here. Now we are missing some tanks. We don't have any tanks on the map at this point. And that will make this push a little bit more difficult. You do, of course, want tanks or Vikings or Ravens or something to deal with this Colossus. But no, it's just going to be a massive bio ball here from BeoMulf. And BeoMulf, of course, he's doubling the supply of stats at this point. Oh, he's going to find 2 Robo units out in the middle of nowhere here. Colossus is going to get targeted down immediately. Robo or Mortal's going to go down as well. And yes, there's a shield battery overcharge that's going to get popped, but that is not going to be enough here. Now BeoMulf's going to stim on into the natural. And yes, there's a Colossus, but once again, we're going to see BeoMulf just stim on top of that. Bang, bang, bang. 2 Colossus goes down. GG, just like that, BeoMulf. He takes cave number 2. Here we are spawning in the bottom right in the blue. Tied up at 1 apiece here for the Freak of Freaks. He is Stats. And his opponent, the upper left, in the red, representing the Shopify Rebellion, taking game number 2 in style. He is BeoMulf. So once again, we do have Stats scouting around, making sure that there is no proxy shenanigans from the Shopify Rebellion player. And that makes sense. I mean, BeoMulf, he's not Maru in terms of how often he proxies, but he certainly proxies a good bit. You gotta remember, Proxy 2 Rax Reaper was effectively what he won BlizzCon off of. So definitely with his multitasking, with his micro ability, you do expect him to maybe throw out a proxy here or there. And yeah, Stats saying, yeah, no, not gonna allow this to happen. Now, interestingly enough, we do see BeoMulf opening with a Reaper in this game compared to the Marine that we saw in the first 2. So this does delay his factory a little bit, or, you know, if he opts to go for a build similar to what we saw in game number 2, this does delay his barracks. Just doesn't really delay the barracks, actually. It does delay the add-ons, maybe. But anyway, the Reaper's going to come on out here, and then we have the React, or the Tech. We have the Tech Lab on the way. This is actually pretty cool. This is something I've seen BeoMulf do very rarely. And so what he's going to go on and do here, he's going to get a Tech Lab. He's going to get concussive shells from his main base. And there we go. And then he's going to move across the map with 2 Marauders, try to get as much damage as he can. Now, I saw him do this against BYUN last night. Well, I guess that match was later on, but I cast it last night. And actually, this Reaper's already getting a good amount of damage done here. The shield battery not done in time, so 2 probes are going to go down immediately. And, well, of course, now the Reaper's not going to get anything else done. But, hey, 2 workers, that's going to be rather nice. And, of course, now, concussive shell halfway done. The question, though, is the Adept really going to... Oh, yeah, the Adept's absolutely going to scout this. More importantly, he's going to try to delay this command center. BeoMulf will be forced to pull off the production just a little bit of time. But, of course, once this Marauder completes, once the concussive shells are done, it's going to be that much more powerful. That being said, Stats is aware of things. He sees the fact that there's a Marauder on the low ground, and there's not going to be a Marauder without concussive shells. That's just not a thing. So we're going to have to see how exactly Stats opts to deal with this. Now, this Reaper has been really annoying. 4 probes have already gone down here. He has a perfect scout of the base. He knows exactly what's happening in the main base. In the natural, there we go. He sees the Twilight Council as well. So this Reaper is such an MVP Reaper in this game. I really, very rarely are you going to see a Reaper get more damage done than this. So now actually the Reaper should be able to, yeah, the Reaper's going to be able to escape too. That's going to be rather nice here for BeoMulf. Okay, never mind. It's going to get targeted down at the last second. But now the Marauders are here and they're going home. The Marauders are going home. I guess they're saying, there are too many Adepts. We don't really want to fight this. And, you know, there's some logic here in the fact that in part, well, the double proxy Marauder, they're going to be useful at all parts of the game here. It's a PvT. It's a TVP, but also, maybe they forced a couple more units out of Stats than Stats wanted to make. Maybe that's the logic there. Now, of course, we do have a starport on the way. We do see Stim about halfway done. So this blink time is not going to be quite as powerful as it is in other scenarios, because of course Stim is going to be done. We will have some Marauders here. So now the Adept, they're going to try to go on in here, and well, we will see, of course, the SCVs, they are going to be removed immediately. Well, yeah, there we go. 1 Adept does go down. But anyway, SCVs will be pulled immediately, so no SCVs will die. And now, well, it looks like BeoMulf, he's going to get aggressive here. Stim, it's closer to being done than not done. Do we have any medevacs on the field yet? We don't, but they are just about done. As well, it's going to be a Warp Prism drop. Or, excuse me, a Widow Mine drop. So now the Adepts are just going to go down here. Nice target fire there from BeoMulf, making sure that he is able, in fact, to tag both of them. And there we go. Okay, so one Adept will survive, one will die. And now BeoMulf, well, look at this. 31 supply to army supply to 11. He has a pretty powerful force coming on up here. And there we go. We have the Widow Mines coming on up. We do have the medevac. It's going to show on up, sync up with things. Now, I think this is going to be a drop on into the main base as BeoMulf gets aggressive on into the natural, into the third base, trying to tear stats apart into two positions at once. And we're going to have to see whether that is actually something that is going to happen. Now, of course, there's an observer, and that's going to be rather... Ooh, these stalkers are going to find the army here. Well, actually, no, never mind. There's detection, so no big deal. Stats just trying to tear down that army as much as possible. So now BeoMulf, he's got his medevac on the left-hand side here, waiting for the opportune moment to try to get aggressive. And yeah, okay, Stats, he does have a couple additional gateways on the way, but as of right now, it is only 2. So now BeoMulf, he's going to stim on in here, do what he can to knock down as many stalkers as possible. There we go, drop it on in the main base. Stats is not paying attention. This is not a pull whatsoever, and BeoMulf's getting maximum damage. 7 workers do go down. And sure, the army in the middle of the map, not getting a ton done, but it doesn't really matter. It distracted Stats. Stats losing 7 workers. And we have another drop where that came from. Drop going on into the third base sooner rather than later. Of course, it is a bio drop. It is not a... well, actually, there's a Widow Mine. Stats... Okay, Stats does have the pull here, but another couple workers will go down. Oh, Stats, does he have the pull? Yeah, he does. Okay. A couple more workers will go down. The drop will be forced out. And once again, we have the Widow Mine drop going on into the main base here. Stats, is he paying attention this time? He is not. We have the full Widow Mine burrow going off. He gets it last second, but that's not going to be enough. 8 more workers do go down, and sure, the drop may die. Actually, both drops are going to die. But at the end of the day, Stats losing 19 workers, excuse me. Yeah. In-game sound by 5%. In-game being slightly quiet. Okay. I will have to do that out of game because right now in-game sound is maxed. So maybe I'll drop my volume by 5% and you can decrease things. But anyway, I guess you can increase that. But anyway, no big deal. We do have now BeoMulf. He has gotten a lot of damage at this point in the game. He has killed off 19 workers. His drops have been wildly successful thus far. And yeah, he's not really ballooning in supply as of yet, but he does have +1 stim, combat shields, concussive shells, all that jazz. And he's going to get aggressive on the map. Now, of course, we do have that wonderful marker that says the Terran's about to get aggressive. The barracks, the bunker has been salvaged. Now BeoMulf's going to drop on in here, knock down, at the very least, knock down the shield battery, and hey, get a couple more workers. Yeah, that's just going to be it. BeoMulf has too much. And here we are, spawning in the bottom left. In the red, of course, representing the Afrika Freaks, the Shield of Ire. He is Stats. And his opponent in the upper right, in the red, going for what looks to be a Reaper expand, but you never know with BeoMulf. Representing the Shopify Rebellion, he is BeoMulf. Yep, I noticed the score was wrong pretty much as soon as I loaded on in, so we fixed it. I don't know, maybe I kind of like in my heart of hearts assumed that we were going to see Stats go and take a 2-1 lead, but now BeoMulf getting so much damage done from this early bits of aggression, knocking down 19 probes really early in game number 3, knocking down 10 workers pretty fast in game number 2, and then just following up aggression with aggression, strength to strength. And Stats just finding out that, yeah, there's not a whole lot I can do against this. Not really. Now, of course, he will be able to do so, but, you know, in the context of this game, he's just not quite able to get enough done. So what do we have here? We have a second barracks on the way for BYUN. It's not going to be third. Okay, there we go. 3 barracks play on up here. So yeah, this was, of course, a Marine first into a reactor. And, well, after that, it's going to be the 3 barracks play. Once again, that was so successful for BYUN in game number 2. Now, I'm wondering whether Stats is going to have a little bit, maybe more exposure to this build now. Maybe going to be able to deal with it a little bit more. Because absolutely, I've seen this build fall flat on its face several times. So it's not something where, oh, this build is just too powerful. What are you going to do? No, this can absolutely get smacked aside. And a higher gate count blink build from Stats would absolutely be useful there. So if you go, say, 4-gate blink, 4-gate blink is actually very, very good against this the style that BYUN is going for, because does blink come on in by the time the push is going out? It depends on just how aggressive BYUN is going to be with it. Depends on what time he decides to move out. But you only have to defend 2 bases instead of 3. You have 4 gateways, so that's 4 StarCrafts at a time. That means you can trade really nicely against the army as it moves across the map. So that is the potential there. Now, of course, we do have this adapt. It's not going to be able to get anything done. We'll not get the scout off. And one of the key things with this is you want to make sure you get the scout off there. So there we go. We do have a 3rd gate on the way. So it's going to be 3-gate blink this time instead of 2, and that is already a better position for Stats to affect this hold. Now, is it 4-gate? No. Is it a quick 3rd base? Yes, it is. So we're still going to have to see whether Stats is going to be able to defend all 3 bases from the ensuing aggression, but again, he's going to have just that much more to be able to defend it with. Now, that does mean that the Robo is a little bit later, or the Robo Bay is a little bit later. Colossus is a little bit later than it would be on 2-gate blink, but all you need bulk. You need gateway units to defend this push. You don't really need quick Colossus. That's just never going to be out in time. And also, I did up in-game go volume by just about 5%. Let me know if that is how that's working. So now we do have a couple Stalkers here from Stats are going to get a little bit aggressive, and they're just going to miss the entire army of BYUN moving out on the map. And once again, I think we're kind of in that worst-case scenario where BYUN's going to get the inside track, and sure, his Stalkers are going to try to get some damage, but the army of BYUN is going to be that much more powerful. Now, Stalkers will find their way on into the natural. With 4 Stalkers, of course, they do one-tap workers, and actually, well, the army of Stats is just a little bit faster on in here, so the SCVs are going to have to get pulled, but of course, we do have Stim done now. And BYUN is going to be a fantastic position to get something done here. But now, well, there's just nothing here in the main base. So BYUN's just going to target this down immediately. A recall will get forced on in here. But we're starting to see so much damage. Once again, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 workers will go down. Actually, BYUN, he's just going to fight the army, too. So there we go. The entire mineral line going on down. Once again, BYUN in pole position. No, he's just going to kill the army. And that's going to be it. GG, BYUN, 3-1 victory here in this first series of the Pink Drip Pylon Invitational.